Hello everyone, welcome back to Spearman Studios, the studio where I talk about movies, and today's movie we're talking about is Kong Skull Island. Now, Legendary Pictures has had a long run of sort of monster films. They've made Krampus, Godzilla, Pacific Rim, and now Kong Skull Island, which is set to be the second movie in this sort of monster universe, or the kaiju-verse, or whatever you want to call it, really. But it does link back to Godzilla in some way. And it follows characters that are very, very stock, I have to admit. This is a story that follows Tom Hiddleston, John Goodman, Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson, and a bunch of other different actors that are pretty much disposable in this film because you don't give two rats' asses about them. The problem with this movie, off the bat for me, is that the lack of characterization for some of these characters is a bit telling. However, one argument that I could see coming out of this film is that the characters aren't meant to be taken seriously, it's more about the monsters, and I could totally see that. It's very much in the style of Godzilla, where you have minimal amounts of time with the actual title character, and spend more time with the human characters, and it's just it kind of ruins the movie for me just a tiny bit, because if you're going to have a character's name on the title, wouldn't you want to have that character show up? You know, it's like if you have a Darth Vader movie, but he only comes out at the end of the entire film to say, yeah, we're owned by Disney, pay me. That's, it kind of ruins the movie just a tiny bit. But what's the story actually about? So it follows Tom Hiddleston, a bunch of scientists, and a bunch of military people in the Vietnam era. It's near the end of the Vietnam War, and they found this island via satellite in 1973, and they have to go to this island to essentially, track its, sort of to essentially do some scientific testing on the island. And once they get there, all hell breaks loose as Kong, the title character, shows up and starts beating the ever-loving shit out of the military. And that's essentially the plot. And essentially they have to survive this island while also getting to the north side of the island to escape from this island that they've been a part of. Also, there's also John C. Reilly as a senile World War II pilot, who is also kind of the most funniest part about the film and adds a little bit more of a comic relief to the entire film. And he's not there for the entire duration, he's just kind of there to, break the tension up just a bit. Now, what I can say is the strongest point about this film is Kong. When he's on screen, and he starts beating the shit out of, say, military or monsters, it's amazing to watch. It's fun to watch. Definitely the best part about this entire film. The problem with it is the fact that they don't spend too much time on it and instead focus on very boring / stock characters. Like, Brie Larson's only character trait in this movie is that she is a photographer. Tom Hiddleston's the tracker. Samuel L. Jackson's the war person that can't stop thinking about war. And it's just, I was kind of disappointed in the characters. The characters should have been a bit more fleshed out for a situation like this. But this film is also very interesting in a way. It's very fun to watch. Again, when Kong's on screen, starts, ripping people's heads off or stomping on people, it's amazing to watch. It's fun. It's exhilarating. But never was there a moment like in the Godzilla 2014 film where I was really wanting to root for Kong. Like at the end of Godzilla 2014, he uses the atomic breath and fucking destroys these kaiju to come out of the ground. That's awesome. But there's never really a moment like that in Kong Skull Island. It's just all just all badass throughout the entire thing, while you also have kind of a boring subplot. But there's also there's a lot of hidden messages in this film, a lot of little Easter eggs that help set up the next couple films for this universe. especially the end credit sequence, which I won't give away, but it did make me want to see a fight between Godzilla, his monsters, and King Kong. I want to see that fight happen, and stay away from the human characters. This is also what I have a problem with Transformers. The Transformers movies is that they have this huge spectacle. They have Kong as this giant character, larger than life, beating the shit out of everything, and they have these human characters that are not entirely defined. They're just kind of stock characters that are pretty much the most boring part about the film. Aside from that, the editing of this film is a bit rambunctious, I can say. Like, there'll be random cuts here and there, and it just feels disjointed in areas. The pacing at times can, like, go really fast and then really slow down, and then go fast again, and then really slow down. And it drags on certain scenes that pretty much could have been edited better to make it a bit more faster of pace. Fortunately, though, this movie's not that long, at only about an hour and 58 minutes. It's definitely not that long of a movie, but I still found myself enjoying it for some reason. Like, I still enjoy it. Even though there is some really terrible characters, the editing's really off, there is obvious green screen. You could see in some instances that there's some really obvious green screen, and it just doesn't work. And it was terrible. But aside from all of that, and the clunky writing as well, and aside from that, it's still a B movie. It's still a B monster movie that I can get behind. And especially with that end credit sequence that really gets me interested in seeing a modern interpretation of, say, Mothra or King Ghidorah or, like all of Godzilla's other arch nemesis. Although the only thing that they don't mention at all is Mechagodzilla. And I'm just wondering here, this is just kind of a brain theory here. So, in this movie, they introduced the concept of Monarch Industries, which was also in Godzilla 2014, but it just kind of explains some of the origins around the organization. So what if, in the fourth movie, which is Destroy All Monsters according to the slate of Kaiju-verse films, what if in Destroy All Monsters, they create Mechagodzilla? What if Monarch Industries creates Mechagodzilla? I mean, that would be pretty freaking awesome. I mean, granted, you also have Mothra and King Ghidorah and, like, all these other different Godzilla monsters in there. This would be an amazing, amazing experience to see all these giant, larger-than-life monsters beat the shit out of each other in this battle royale. And it's all being instigated by Monarch Industries, with Mechagodzilla challenging Godzilla and his other cronies, and it's like, it would be kind of awesome, really. But in my personal opinion, this is a movie that's very selective with its audience. People who love monster films will probably like this one. People who liked Godzilla 2014, which I did, kind of, will kind of find some enjoyment in this one. But if you're looking for a movie that is intrinsic with characters or some sort of motivations or any sort of, like, underlying themes, you're not going to get too much, or at least you're going to get the sort of stereotyped, done-to-death tropes that we've seen before in Vietnam-era war films, which is also something I liked, by the way, is the amount of references they put into, like, certain things, and like, all this, like, they put a lot of, like Full Metal Jacket and a bunch of other Vietnam War film type stuff, and it makes the universe of Kong really much more likable in a way, much more streamlined. It's a new situation, and it's a new sort of story for Kong that we've never seen before. There's really nothing else I could say about Kong Skull Island other than it doesn't work in the long run. It's not a movie that will probably stand the test of time because of its stock characters, because of its bland writing, because of some very lousy effects, I could say, and some really poor editing. but it's all worth it to see a bunch of monsters beating the shit out of each other as well. And Godzilla stepping on army people is really kind of awesome too. So this one's going to be kind of a hard one to judge because I'm not wanting to give it an 8 out of 10, nor do I want to give it a 5, which is the lowest I would go on this one. But to make a score, I'm giving Kong Skull Island a 7 out of 10. This is a movie that's fun. I will definitely say that. It is a fun movie to go watch. It's a popcorn film. It's definitely not meant to be taken entirely seriously. Keep that in mind. This is a movie that you don't have to take too seriously. It's just a fun popcorn B-movie monster film that will definitely entertain the masses. This is definitely a mass appealing film. It's not like, it's not, the Citizen Kane of movies. It's not anything like that. It's an okay movie that's definitely meant for summer blockbuster material, but they've somehow put it in March. Yeah, so yeah, if you've seen Kong Skull Island, what do you think of the movie? Do you think, are you liking the idea of this kaiju movie universe that they're going to have? Are you excited for maybe Godzilla versus King Kong? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and until next time, I'll see you behind the camera. Peace.